Hi there, today's book is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. So, in reading this description, I thought it would be just another thriller. Somebody died, and then trying to figure out who the perpetrator is, and that they'd be stuck out in a winter blizzard, by themselves with this killer out there. So, I was pleasantly surprised with this one because the book was way more than that. So let's get into this one. So we meet a couple of friends who go on this New Year's party to the mountains. There's a cabin; it's a remote cabin, and they decide to spend New Year's there. So what they've been doing for years, get together for New Year's. So most of them, pretty much all except one, went to Oxford together. So they've been friends for a long time. And then one person joined the mix as a partner of one of the people. All right, so we have Miranda and Julian, and then there is Samaria and Giles, Noah and Bo, and there's Emma and Mark, and then there's Katie. I think that's all the couples. So they go to this remote estate, and so the groundskeeper is a guy named Douglas, and then there's a lady who does the admin and set up the reservations and make sure that they have everything that they need, and her name is Heather. Now Heather has been doing in this role for a little bit, but it seems that she's running away from something, and we get the impression that her parents aren't really glad that she's in this remote location and is concerned for her, so every once in a while she has to call and assure them that she's okay. Now, as far as this Doug guy, he is a little weird. We get the impression that he has a dark past, but this is not revealed until much later. And I thought, as we progressed through the book, that he might have had, something to do with the death in question in the book. So I was just like scared whenever his part came up in the book, like, oh my goodness, what's he going to do and how is it going to happen? So these friends are here, they're having a party. Well, they're having this get together, but one person, they stand out in completely different ways. So the main person who stands out is Miranda. She is like the boss of the group in a sense, because she's always the one to, make a statement or give the order, and everybody pretty much follows. But she's also tend to be sometimes condescending. She's kind of bossy, and it's things are always about her, like 99% of the times, and she comes off to be a bully. But for some reason, this group of people, they just brush it off, I guess. Even if they're really hurt, they don't really say anything. They just go with it, and just Miranda, and they might mumble to themselves, but they follow the crowd. All right, so as they're there, the narration of the story is done by each individual character. So they're telling their piece as far as what happens. So we don't immediately know who has died until really towards the end of the book, but we know somebody has died, and so each character in the story is telling their part as far as what's happening, from their perspective. During the getaway, and then also history of events that has happened in their friendships or whatever is leading up to them feeling the way they are today. So we find out later as the book progressed that there are secrets that are about to burst open in this book that is leading to, I guess, coming to a boiling point, and what has led to the death of this person in the book. So Miranda and Julian, who are now married, they've been together like 10 years and they're married now. And they seem to be the perfect couple. They seem to get along great. They seem to have good chemistry. However, in private, things have kind of fizzled out, and Miranda doesn't really know why. Of course, she's self-absorbed, although every once in a while, she has a passing concern about why Julian doesn't really want her, but then she's so full of herself, she does nothing about it. So, of course, with her little struggles that she has, she takes it out on everybody else. She also wants to, I guess, towards the end, we find out that she, you know, also seemed to be having fertility issues. And so when she finds out that somebody in the group is pregnant now, she's really mad and expresses some kind of jealousy, I guess, that why is she pregnant and not her, So she's one of these type of people. Now the boys are, although they're years out of college, they're still acting like frat boys, but I guess it's a getaway. And so they're, when they get together, for dinner and whatnot, it's a drunken hot mess. And so one night, Mark, cornered Miranda, and it seemed that Mark had a crush on her for a while. And so he wanted to tell her something about her husband, and I guess he wanted her to see that her husband was no good, but she felt like she knew everything and she didn't want to hear. And so he was like, "Are you sure you don't want to know?" And she's like, "She doesn't want to know, and why don't you leave us alone, blah blah blah." So he's like, "Okay." And it turned out that what he wanted to tell her, she did not know, and this is one of the things that she came to find out while she was on, the trip, and she was completely devastated. So we find out that her husband, Julian, is having an affair with one of her close friends. And so she was hot. It was a big explosion. She found this out. And so she threatened to report him because it appears that he was doing some dealings in his work that weren't ethical. So now she's about to blow up his whole world because now she's mad at him about the affair. So he's begging and pleading, and she's not hearing any of it. So anyway, she also very nosy, and she doesn't respect, from what I'm seeing, respect people's privacy. And this is what, one of the things that kind of is annoying about her too. She had gone over to Emma's place one evening, after she had found out about the affair, and she found out, I guess, in talking to her, that she had known about the affair before. Of course, she's mad at her now as if she's the one involved in the affair. But, Emma said she had just found that out, and so she didn't care. But anyway, she saw something that Emma had that looked familiar to something that her grandma had, like some kind of jewelry box type of thing. And so she would proceed to try to open it. It seems to me it's like one of those things that are kind of like, what do you call those? Fancy jewelry box. There's a certain way to open it. And so she, sat there messing with it until she figured out how to open it and open up pretty much Pandora's box. Emma really didn't want her to open it, but of course she, with her nosy self, and opened it, and so that caused an altercation between her and Emma as well, and that's happening the same night that she found out about the other things. So there's a lot that's happening, and her whole world is crumbling down as well. We also find out that as a result of the affair, that person that her husband is having the affair with is pregnant. So that's another thing as well. So all these things ultimately lead to the death of somebody in the group. So I'm trying to tell the story without telling you who it is. But I have to say, when I thought this was just going to be a run-of-the-mill thriller, but this one was quite interesting. Even when I was supposed to go to bed, I'm trying to find out what's going to happen next. It was a very interesting storyline by Lucy Foley. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one. 4.5 stars on it. If you have read or listened to this book, let me know your thoughts. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there's also an angle in this book that involves some shady dealings regarding the owner and what they're using the facilities for. There is a side hustle going on that is illegal, and that led to some other events that happened, and somebody in the employ of the owner of the estate was arrested. And that arrest was a part of a larger drug trade that was happening with the estate being a hub, so to speak, as well.